Hi, I'm Sarah Beth Goer.
And I'm Jennifer Jill Araya.
Welcome to the Crafting Audiobooks podcast, where we discuss the art and craft of audiobooks, and we aim to go deep quick.
Hello and welcome to the Crafting Audiobooks podcast. I am so excited to be here, and Sarah is excited to be here as well, with Senior Executive Producer at Penguin Random House Audio, Kelly Gildea. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And we are super excited and looking forward to the discussion. So because we're a podcast that likes to go deep quick, we're going to just dive right into these questions. So Kelly, I would love to know your process when you're thinking about casting an audiobook. How do you figure out which narrators you want to invite to that audition process out of, like the hundreds of narrators that you know? What tells you that these are the specific narrators that you want to hear their take on the material and invite them to audition?
That's a great question. And it changes depending on the book. There are some books that I read and the need to me is so specific and is something I know. There's a particular actor I've worked with or I've heard their work that I know this person very clearly can do this. And I would like to hear them do that. Sometimes there's like an energy or a tone that is really unique to that particular piece of literature, a piece of text. And I don't know what the voice is yet. I need to find the voice. And that can be really fun because it's really like we cast a wide net in those instances. And that is where I definitely want to hold auditions. I definitely want to hold an audition from the specific text that we're working with. And in those cases, I really try to work hard on like giving the actors who are going to audition enough notes and enough like meat about the characters so that if I want something very specific, I can hear it in the audition.
Sure. So when you do cast that wide net, I mean, of course, Penguin Random House Audio has Ahab, but are there other places that you go to look for those new voices? I mean, that discovery process sounds like it would be really fun.
It depends. I mean, there've definitely been some instances where we're looking for an actor from a very specific region of the world or a region of the country. And
sure,
we're not sure we're seeing anybody or hearing anybody on Ahab that quite fits the bill. So we, in some instances, are, reaching out to agents or doing a Google search to see like, are there actors specifically from such and such country or such and such city or town. And I would say those are more of the instances where I'm like doing a special search. But there's such a great amount of talent on Ahab right now and like more incoming all the time that rarely does it feel like, the person's not here, that doesn't happen very often, but we are try to be really versatile about looking for what we need.
Absolutely.
And in those circumstances where you're like, this book has such a specific need and I don't know what the voice is yet, so I need to cast a wide net. Are you sort of flying on instinct and trying like a bunch of different types of people and giving them the information and going, cool, I wonder what magic happens? Like, how are you in that case when it's such a wide net, even deciding, well, who should I pull in?
I mean, it's funny because like we've all worked with authors where the author's like, I'm not hearing, the voice I created. And you're thinking like, well, that voice doesn't exist. It's not real. But to be fair, like sometimes when I'm reading, like I hear this character talking and I want to hear it in the audition also. Like I want, and it happens, there are actors who like the connection is made. And it might be different. It might be better. It might be a little off from what you envisioned, but like something clicks into place. So I think as a producer, when I read, like the character starts to come to life in my head and I'm looking for the actor that like lights it up and the connection is made.
Sure, that little bit of magic that's part of the casting process.
Yeah, it's kind of like there you are, I found you, and we've had authors say like, that's it, that's the one, like that's exactly what I hoped for or I envisioned. So as a producer, I have the same kind of like, you care about these characters, you spend time with them, and it's such a big responsibility to bring these characters to life that you want to make sure everything clicks into place. Yeah.
I like the way you phrased it, that it's a responsibility to bring the characters to life. That's a meaningful way of putting it. Thank you.
Thanks.
What about, we've talked a little bit about casting and the characters, but what about the art of audiobooks overall draws you in the most? What do you find the most compelling about audiobooks?
I mean, I always loved literature as a child and performance, like not myself, believe me, not me performing, but just like I love acting and I love actors, and the blending of those worlds to me is like a dream come true. Just to be able to like immerse in literature and performance, and it's kind of wild to me that this medium exists, and it is always like changing, and every project is so different. And it's like every piece of the puzzle like completely changes the output too. Like if I cast one person versus another or hire one director versus another, it's like a completely different product that you get. And that is really magical to me. Yeah, I kind of just love the idea of like every time you crack a book, there's so many possibilities and like you really don't know. And I for one am not somebody who's like bored by the one person there. Like I love a beautiful book that is read by one narrator as much as I love full cast productions. I think there's room and space for all of it, and I definitely hope we keep doing all of it all the time.
Agreed. Yeah, there's some, really magical single person solo narration projects. And then there are those pieces that just have to be multicast. And when they are and the cast is right, it's that magic that we've been talking about a fair amount already.
Yeah.
I would love for you to describe a moment of the audiobook craft that really excited you. So it could either be a project that you were working on and something happened and that magic happened and it was just like, oh, this is amazing. Or it could be something that you listened to and as you were listening, you were just thinking, oh, this is incredible. And then why it felt exciting to you.
I'm going to describe something that happened, something like really intimate that happened when I was recording this book called Olive Again with Kimberly Farr. It's the sequel to Olive Kittredge, which is a book that I would say it's my favorite novel of all time. Like the fact that I got to record it with someone and direct it that's amazing. Such an honor and such a treat. And it's fun and beautiful and tragic and all of that stuff. But we were in the physical space together in an LA studio recording together. And I don't often look at the actor as we're recording, even when I'm in the booth with them, because I'm looking at the text. I'm just trying to like be the listener and not be influenced by like any physicality of their performance. So she literally read the last words of the book. And like, so it was so weird. We both looked up and we both just burst into tears, like simultaneously. It was so fun. And then we were both cracking up because it was like, it's such a beautiful book. And it was like so wild to be so like emotionally connected to a piece and to a person. And just like, we're in different rooms, but we can like finally see each other. So that to me was like one of the most powerful audiobook moments I've ever had. And
wow.
It was lovely.
Like the physical embodiment of the power of the character and the story and the performance all coming together and sharing that intimately in real time. It's really beautiful.
And I like to think, I'm pretty sensitive and, I'm very in tune and empathetic, but like, I'm not a huge crier. So like the fact that that happened at all, this was so weird. Kimberly is a big crier though. So that was not surprising. But yeah, that was just like, that was really special to me of course, there are like so many audiobooks I've heard that I'm like, this is magic and amazing. But that just like a personal thing for me, that was great.
Absolutely. It's beautiful that you were both so much in tune and in the same emotional space that you both had that same reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Audiobook production is so cool.
It really is.
We are on to our very last question, and it's a question that all three of us are going to answer. And Kelly, I'll ask you to answer first. The question is, what's exciting you about the craft right now today?
I think it's sort of like what we were talking about before. I think it's just like the amount of possibility. And I will also say, like, working for Penguin Random House and the support we have on the back end is amazing. Like, you know, obviously, like, we don't have massive budgets for every production we do, but like every book is asking for its own specific thing. And sometimes when a book needs something very special, I feel like there's at least someone listening to you at Penguin Random House Audio to like help you realize that. So yeah, I mean, I can only think about like books I've worked on that have had massive, like Amber and I just did the 1619 project
Sure.
at the tail end of 2021, and I don't think we ever questioned like, we're going to ask every single person who contributed to this to narrate. Like, there's no way we're not going to do that. So the fact that we were able to do that, and we were able to like have 50-ish narrators on this program, I think made it really special and made it feel like a community. And I also like I said before, that there's just some novels that are like asking for a single voice, and that voice is everything. And yeah, I think I just like, you never know, and you got to really listen to what the book is asking for, and then try to execute as best you can. And that could look like anything. It could look like 100 narrators. It could look like 2 really beautiful side narrations. It can look like just one person. And
Oh, I love what you just said about, you said, you never know, you got to look at what that particular book is asking for and then execute it the best you can. Like that's the heart of the craft right there.
Yes, it is. Sum up the craft of audiobook in one sentence.
thank you. And we obviously can't do that. We can't do that without, like, you know, you all, that's the key, is like, that's finding, it's my job to find you and to put you exactly where, you know, you should be.
Yeah, find the right players that need to be part of bringing that book's vision to life.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I'm curious how you all feel about it.
Yes, Jennifer, what are you excited about in the craft right now today?
Sure. So I made notes to answer this before we started talking with Kelly, but what I'm excited about right now actually goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of our discussion, Kelly, about choosing the right voice for a project. I've really been thinking about that a lot, about why I specifically am selected for some of the books that I've been narrating recently. And, you know, for some of the things, I don't know for sure what it was about my voice or my style that the casting director was hearing and being like, yes, Jennifer is the right voice for that book. But I've been kind of trying to figure it out on my own and be like a little bit of a detective and be like, oh, there's this about me and about how I work and how I relate to the text. That's what the casting director was probably thinking about when they cast me or asked me to audition or whatever. And then making sure that I'm really sinking into that aspect of my craft while I'm working on the project. And, you know, I do a lot of different genres and a lot of different kinds of books. So there's different parts of myself that I think make me appropriate for different types of projects, and really having fun sinking into, you know, like a cozy mystery one day and a thriller the next day and a sci-fi book, you know, the week after that. Like, really digging into those varied parts of myself has been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. Just thinking about, why am I cast and how can I make sure that I'm really capitalizing on that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Like, if authors ever share with us how they respond to an actor and why they navigated toward that voice, like, I try to always remember to share that with the actor just so they know. But I think you're right that like if you don't have that information or that information is not supplied to you, you have to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And make sure that I'm really bringing and showing up with that part of myself. Yeah.
Because I can tell you, like, as person who casts, like, if we're casting you, we want you to be bringing yourself to it. It's not, there's a reason, right? And it's hard to define sometimes what that reason is, but it is
it's about je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I want to. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's really fun what you're saying too, Jennifer, because even if you guess wrong, right? Like if the reason you came up with in your head of why you were cast in that book doesn't match actually why you were, it doesn't matter. The exercise is still so valuable because you're still bringing a very clear, specific point of view that comes from you and your artistry and what you believe about this book and who you are as an artist. So it works either way.
Absolutely. I've really been thinking about that specifically for the last 3 books that I've been working on, because they're books that were, in my mind, were not natural fits for me. And it was like, especially having these 3 back to back, it's like, what about me told the casting director that I was right for this? And kind of doing that introspective work has been fun. And like you said, even if I don't land on the same reason that the casting director had, I'm still landing on a reason and really showing up in my work. So it's been good. I think I'm going to carry it through.
It's such a smart way to connect to a book. Instead of going, well, I don't know why they cast me, I'll just do my best here. Be like, okay, what's my perspective? Like, let me find that connection. So smart. Well, what is exciting?
Yeah, Sarah, I want to know what's exciting you.
I was listening to an audiobook where 2 characters were singing a song together. And of course, the narrator wasn't actually singing because often we can't use the real melody of a song due to copyright reasons, right? And to indicate that these 2 people were singing together, what the narrator did is she just had one character voice like sing the first line and the other character sing the second line. And I was caught by like the beauty of how much gets created by the subtlest suggestions of a narrator, because I completely bought that these 2 people were singing this song together. And I'm just really moved by how deft, how the narrator's imagination and the listener's imagination come together to make these moments feel real when, like, logically it doesn't make sense. Like, it was one narrator, she wasn't singing, and she just had one character do one line, one character do the other line. And yet I totally believe these 2 people were singing together. That's just the beauty of the combination of our imaginations and how deft a touch we need to have as narrators in order for that to work and come across. So that's what I'm moved by today.
Oh, that's so cool. And I think you're right that even the smallest little choices really can make a huge impact. That's cool. Yeah. That's neat that the narrator that you were listening to thought to do that. I'm not sure I would have.
Yeah. And that's why I love listening to audiobooks because I enjoy it as a pastime, but also like all my colleagues will do these things that I'm like, oh, great solution, worked so well. And so the more I expose myself to other narrators, the more tips and tricks I pick up there.
Absolutely.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being here with us today. It has just been a delight. And thank you all for listening. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to Crafting Audiobooks. We've been your hosts, Sarah Beth Goer
and Jennifer Jill Araya.
Wishing you happy audiobook listening and/or crafting.
Bye for now.